mind, body, and soul right here on 246 BajanVibesRadio.com, 12 till 3 on a Sundays AM, 7 till 10 p.m., 8 till 11 Eastern Standard Time. Don't you miss it. Feeling lazy.
Happy International Women's Day. Privacy, you look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, honey. So do you. I mean, you have to show off a little bit for Women's Day.
Of course. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
You look good. Oh, we are doing fabulous. Thanks for asking.
You look amazing.
Hi, my dear.
Hi, Lady
Hi.
Jane. Hi, how are you doing?
Excellent.
Good. How are you?
It's great to be here. I'm doing
Okay.
great. You look amazing.
Yeah,
Thank
she does.
you.
Yes, yeah. You know, before we really dive into today's topic, there is something John and we wrote, and I would really love to read it to all the women around the
Please.
world. The unsilenced echo, building the future on the power of women's voices. For too long, the world operated on a frequency that was missing half of its resonance. We were told that silence was a virtue, that our contributions belong in the margins, and that leadership had a specific singular tone. But history is shifting. We are realizing that a woman's voice isn't just a sound, it is a catalyst for evolution. The architect of our voice. The power of a woman's voice lies in the unique ability to bridge the gap between fierce advocacy and radical empathy. The challenges, the status quote, when a woman speaks, she often brings a voice forged into fire of resilience. She sees the gaps in the system because she have lived them. We are moving away from the command and control model toward one of collaboration and emotional intelligence. This isn't soft power. It is most durable power there is. In an age of noise, the clarity of a woman lived experience act as a north star for social and corporate integrity. Our depth to the future, the legacy. We do not speak only for ourselves. We speak for the girls who are currently watching us, measuring the allowable volume of their own lives by the boldness of ours. To help the next generation, we must commit to 3 pillars: breaking the ceiling of permission. We must stop waiting for an invitation to the table. By taking our seats and pulling up chairs for others, we show the next generation that leadership is a right, not a favor. Mentorship as a lifetime. We must move beyond networking and towards true sponsorship. The future is built when we use our voices to say another woman's name in a room full of opportunities. Normalizing the difficult conversation, whether it's advocating for pay, mental health, or climate justice, or willingness to be uncomfortable, today creates a world of psychological safety for the woman of 2050. The call to action. Our voices are the blueprints for a world that hasn't been built yet. When we speak, we aren't just making noise. We are clearing the brush so that the path for the next generation is wider, smoother, and goes further than we ever dreamed. Do not dim your light to make others comfortable. Speak your truth until it vibrates in the floorboards of the institutions that once ignored you. Because when a woman speaks, the future listens. So tonight, grab a notepad, a pen, sit back in a comfortable chair because the women are going to speak this evening, and we are inviting you as another woman to listen.
Wow. What a good piece. It just reverberates. That's
Yes.
its own, yeah. That's its own thing. I mean, that's its own thing. That's like a comic. A comet.
Yes,
A comet.
yes,
Comet.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. The power of our voices,
That's-
Yeah.
It's for too
when
long
it's
we've been
unified.
sitting. Go ahead, Pripati.
And when it's unified, when
Yes.
we come together, because we have a society where women are very catty and they bring down each other and they compete against one another, and that's not how it should be. It should be where we are uplifting one another because we are all one, and we're all the same. We have the same struggles, and being jealous of another, or getting one up on another, or pulling one down because they're rising, and that you should be a sister clapping for the other person. And we are all brother and sisters. We hold
Correct.
certain roles in our lifetime and certain contracts that must be fulfilled. But everything outside of that snow globe, if you will, you have to honor the characters that come across your path. And you have to be able to, when you come across somebody, you have to leave them better than how you met them.
So true.
That's
So
the thought that has to go through your
Yes.
mind.
Yes. So true.
That
Well said.
your presence has to uplift somebody, whether it's male or female, but specifically this is more centrally focused on females. And I think that when we're doing this and we're talking to another female, when we fix the other female's crown, it should never be spoken. If you're fixing someone else's crown, it should never be spoken. It should never be brought up again, that moment that you did that. It should be done in silence, in sacredness and honor, and let her shine and let her win again. Because when she rises again, you'd be able to see that as something to be proud of, as something to inspire you to reach where you need to be, because we're all a work in progress. So it's just food for thought there. When we're unified, we're much of a stronger force than we are independently.
Absolutely right, Privity.
Well said.
Indeed, well
Thank
said. The thing is that let's stop just opening the door and start pulling each other through them.
Mm-hmm.
As women, we need to start pulling each other through these open doors. We open the door, but we got to start pulling each other through these doors.
That's right.
And we have to allow women to rise and to speak and to share, because we all have something to share.
Of course.
We
Yes.
all have a voice. And many times we silence our voice because of fear.
Mm.
And we silence our voice because of our upbringing in life, because we all came from various backgrounds, from various cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, our voice was being silent as a child. But now is the time we are adults.
Yes.
And we really need to recalibrate and look at ourselves as adult women and see where we are heading. And let's look at ourselves in a very unique way, because we are special and we are unique and we are one of a kind. And
Kind.
what we are bringing to the table
So true.
is something that is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember that the younger girls who is gonna be coming after us, they are looking at us as role models, what we are doing. When
Absolutely.
situations arise in our lives, how are we handling these situations? They're
Yes.
looking to see how we are navigating things in our
Mm-hmm.
lives. So we really have to always remember and be aware that some little girl out there, they're looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
It could be our daughter, it could be our niece, it could
Mm-hmm.
be someone else's daughter. They are looking at us. We are their role models. So we really need to look at our lives, how we are really navigating, because they're looking at us. Right, Lady
Well,
J?
yes.
Everything both of you said is so true. And the thing is that we're whole. We are women, and we're whole, and we are created with a purpose, right? And because we are created with a purpose, it's essential for us to know our value. It's essential to know that we are self-loved. We're rooted in self-love, because when we're rooted in self-love, and we can express that in rooms and wherever we go, and we come in with our own wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we can step in our power and show up with our all, then we can add the level of value, as you guys were saying, to the spaces that we walk into, because we come with that. And a level of confidence. When we step into a room, we move with a level of confidence, self-assured, because as you rightfully said, girls are looking at us. We are the role models of individuals. And so we all, as Private, as you mentioned, we all go through our struggles. We all move with different with challenges in our lives. But that is why it's so important that us have other women surrounding us and supporting us and holding up when we are feeling those level of pain, level of struggles, the level of challenges, that we can hold each other up and to help us to all be strong and rising to those occasions, and with a level of resilience, so that we can all accomplish the assignment that we're here for,
Mm-hmm.
the dreams and our purpose and our goals. And because we all are moving in different spaces and different trajectory, but it's a common thread that we all are trying to accomplish whatever we're here for.
Yes. I love that you said, Miss Lady J, an assignment. I think I think we all come with assignments, whether you're male or female. The females have a certain intuitive sense that we must move a little differently because we're wired differently on purpose. That's
Yes,
done
right,
intentionally, right? So when you use that intuition and start creating something bigger than yourself, that's what feminine energy is. Feminine energy is when you create a baby, it's bigger than yourself. We amplify everything we touch. And if the guys are actively listening and they play a role of being an active listener and an active participant,
right.
and not looking at the kind of like the corporate inequities and all these kind of societal pressures and norms that the patriarchal society has created. And we all heard this saying, we live in a man's world.
Right.
Actually, the man wouldn't have come about if the woman didn't give birth. So, uh, so we have to remember the origin. We're not here to just be this bystander and help just the male succeed. We are here in our own right, in our own lane, to succeed in everything that we came and we were assigned to do, Miss Lady J. I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and our voice matters.
Absolutely.
Even though it might be a whisper, but it matters. You
And
matter.
we need to encourage those young ladies to use their voice, and when they do hear that inner sound or that inner narrative or that soft voice that speaks to them, to listen to it, because it's guidance. It's inner guidance.
It is inner guidance, and that is why it's super important. And then that's why tonight we're honoring women. We honor you, we bless you, and we stand with you, and in the calm, quiet space of the unseen, because you hold that power. That's your secret weapon. That's why when you show up with that power, and that you can, with a level of aura, when you move into spaces. Because I think, Privilege, as you rightly said, when someone encounter you as a person, as a woman, they must never leave the same, because they must be better than you are encounter in the beginning. So when you can able to provide that level of energy, that current level of resonance, is very powerful, because that encounter, that meeting, you say, one would say, the person, whether it's a male or female, that was a good meeting. I feel good. I feel supported. I feel empowered after that moment. Because sometimes the person might be feeling very down or not self-assured in that moment, because we all go through those time and those spaces in season. But there is some one word that you can leave with someone. You can empower them. You can uplift them. You provide them with a level of hope and optimism. What better thing can you do when you can leave someone moving forward in such a space with a great energy and vibration?
Absolutely right. I totally agree with Privity and you, Lady J, what you're saying, because we are here to empower. And if a woman is joining us this evening on this podcast and looking at us, and she's sitting, and so many doubts, so many fears is going through her mind at this point in time. We are here to let you know that you have a voice.
Either.
We are here to let you know that fear, don't allow fear to paralyze you. You can get up and you can start to speak. And speak, and don't be afraid to speak. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. Sohini, happy International Women's Day.
Happy
Nice to,
International Women's Day to
yeah,
all.
nice to have you here.
Yeah. And the thing is that when we can express ourselves as women, we
Mm-hmm.
empower ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we can express ourselves, we start to feel good because we are being heard.
Mm-hmm.
We start to feel good because many times you see women, then we will say, oh, she sounds so powerful. But then when you hear her backstory, she didn't start just like that. So we all have to get up and we got to start moving. And we are here to help you to get up and start to make that first step. That is why we are here this evening. We are here to empower you so you can experience transformation.
Mm-hmm.
That is why we are here to drop that seed and to help you as an individual, as a woman, to empower yourself this evening and let your voice be heard. So,
Mm-hmm.
Henny, take the mic.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, today's seriously like what to say, it is an appropriate day to talk about the the state of women today, because if we like days after days, generation after generation, like we all are witnessing a patriarchy because patriarchy is there all over the world, and we all are witnessing it. Women are trying to break it, and these days at this state where we are stand, where we are right now, we can say that women have become successful in breaking patriarchy in the terms of many things like years ago or say eras ago, women were not um, like their roles were limited to domestic or household work. They were there were injustices, there were discrimination in offices and workplaces, and even women they even did not have the right for voting. But we can see that for that, years after years, women have been trying to get over all those things. Like there are movements like suffragette movements, and there are different kind of uh, what to say there are different kind of revolutions and movements women did in order to achieve justices, or in order to break all these discriminations. Like I can say as an Indian that in Indian history, if we see like in Vedic era, there were women who were not women like these days. There were no patriarchy in Vedic era because there were women who there were a lot of women who used to be sages and philosophers, and they used to um, participate. They had the right to participate to different socio-economic and cultural activities. There were women named Apala, Maitri, Gargi in Vedic days. They used to call Brahma Bhavini, right? They used to take. They were great philosophers, and uh, they used to rule the society in that days. But post Vedic era and since then in India, there were like patriarchy took place. Patriarchy took its place gradually. So since then, it has been difficult for women. But current days, in modern days, women are really doing great in terms of education, in terms of politics. Even there was a time where women were not allowed to talk about politics. Yeah, and even if a woman chose a path of like breaking all those things, there were punishment for them. There were punishment for them, and even they could not talk about like all these things. Even they could not talk about the um, like domestic violence. They were not allowed to talk about how their men are behaving with them, their men are treating to them. So this time we can see like with time gradually the state of women in India has been changed drastically. So this is definitely a subject to like discuss in this Women's Day. Yeah,
Well said. Yeah, and are you finished, Suhini?
yeah. No, I'm
Yeah.
telling you just
Thank you for
what you.
describing that because with different culture it's a different experience with women and the roles that they play. So thank you for really sharing that with us and enlightening us on that broad level how it really operates there in India, and the different the ways it happens, and provide people with that level of understanding. That is so powerful.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is that because of different cultures, we can't judge.
No.
We may look at a woman and then we may say, you know what, she's going through so much in life. But again, we always have to look at the foundation she's standing on. Because many times the foundation we as women are standing on is very shaky. And because it's very shaky, you find that our voice is being silent, and we can't able to speak. We can't even able to express the way how we are feeling. But we have to find a way whereby we can express ourselves as women. We are creative beings. And if we can find a way, if it's writing a book, if it is starting a podcast, if it is writing a blog, if it's just putting up a post, we gotta find a way where we can express ourselves and have a voice. And because when we speak, we are helping someone else.
Of course.
When we stand up, we're not standing up for ourselves alone. We are standing up for other women and for the generation to come. So we have to find a way that we can speak and speak up. Right, Privity?
So true.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love that you you hone in on talking about generations. A lot of people in this world only focus solely on their self pursuits and their individual assignments that was given. But what we have to think about is we have to step out of ourselves for a bit and have to think about the bird's eye view here, right? Because if in order for us to have a cohesive planet that operates between balancing the masculine energy and the feminine energy, what people don't realize is we have both dualities inside each person. Whether you're a male or whether you're a female, we have both. We are made with both. When a feminine, the one that looks feminine and is residing in feminine energy, decides to integrate both feminine and masculine energy and create a healed force or united force within them, that's how they show up as an empowered sacred feminine voice to lead the generations before them. And from that healed space. So we want to embody that, and we want to emulate that, and we want to set the example, because we don't have great models right now in society. There's plenty of corruption everywhere you turn, every social media outlet that you can think of. And so I think because these corrupted systems are dismantling, okay, I think this is where it's creating that space in this in this space of destruction. It's creating that space for the feminine to actually rise, because this is the patriarchal society is dismantling. That's exactly what's happening, and it needs to crumble, because what has worked, if you're talking about whether it's presidencies, you're talking about governmental agencies, you're talking about the Supreme Court, you're talking about any political relevance that rules and governs laws and society and makes dents in society, that's collapsing. So when it's collapsing, guess what? It's making room for the feminine to start ushering in and using their intuition, using their catalyst voices to create something better, bigger and better and amplified in that creative force. So what I'd like to start out with is, in the past 50 years, we have had a lot more legislative growth in our society. We have about 25% seats in the US Congress. We have executive milestones. We have Miss Kamala Harris on the stand as the first female vice president. We have workplace and economic independence. We have the labor force and participation in the last 50 years. How we have the workforce grew from 34% in 1950 to 60% by 2000. And imagine in 2006 right now, that's even exponentially higher. Corporate leadership board seats that women held those boards of high companies. We have women now earn 60% of all mass. Now, degrees is not the sign of intelligence. Healing their mother wounds, and which I will dip in.
It appears Privity is getting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
We couldn't hear you.
Yes, we're hearing you again.
Now we're
Yes.
hearing you.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay,
That's
so
okay.
what I wanted to focus on is we are gaining financial autonomy. We are standing up for our salaries being not equal against our male partners. We are trying to expand workplace rights in a sense of when a woman is pregnant and they need pregnancy leave, and all these new laws are kind of emerging because women are speaking up. And then we have, the sexual misconduct that's happening, and all the sex trafficking and all these things that have been happening for years. We're talking about over 100 years, and it's coming to light. Why? It's coming to light because women are so suppressed. They're looked as sexual objects and they're objectified in society. And so it needs to dismantle. And so that is also dismantling because how our kids learn through sex, drugs, and everything that's being filtered in society as propaganda and as something to be admired and attained. No. So we need to redefine that as females and understand that it's not about that. What do we bring to the table aside from our allure, or aside from our a narrative and our identity? That we need to look a certain way. Do we need to have a certain type of figure? We need to have certain type of education? No, you're naturally born with everything you need in your lifetime. That's what we need to ground ourselves and understand. And what you choose to do with that is to your free will. And so what I want to go into, and this is super important because I always go into kind of the inner work that needs to be done to become an empowered feminine. Because if we're meeting people at where they are as feminines, we need to understand as these young girls are watching that you guys said, we need to understand, how do you do the work? When you're 15 and you're 12 and you're trying to figure it all out, where do you start? And so that's what I'm about to get into. So what I want to start out with is women that have fragmented mother wounds. You're going to have fragmented mother wounds and you're going to have fragmented father wounds. Now they say, where you have father wounds, because the female is more attached to the male or the father, and you might have that hits a little deeper than the mother wounds. But let's focus on the wounding in general, right? So when you have parental wounding, and let's say this is a 12 or 15-year-old or 20-something or a 30-year-old watching, what you want to do is start to dissect your unmet needs, your emotional pain, sit with all of that, Start writing what that means. Your emotional pain, what people come to mind when that's happening? What incidences that come to mind when we're talking about emotional pain and unmet needs? Are we in our marriages and relationships, do we have unmet and unspoken needs? Again, that talks about the voice that we need to start to vocalize, right? And there are healthy ways to vocalize your unmet needs. We don't want to be screaming and shouting and going out of character. We want to do this in a very refined, very balanced manner. We're not going to always be like that. That's normal. But we have to kind of take a breather. And what I'd like to do is tell your audience to do like a kind of like a 3 to 5 minute breather before we impulsively react to our partner, to our family member, to whoever we're dealing with, and check ourselves for a moment, because you don't want to go into immediate reaction. We want to pause, and then we want to reflect what we're trying to say, and then say it in a better tone. Tonality is very important, and approach is also very important. So that's also very important as a young girl coming up, and as a teenager, as a young female. So the fragmented mother wounds and father wounds that this feminine is experiencing, what we want to do is go from fragmentation to wholeness. How do you do that in a holistic way? You want to do this in acknowledging the unspoken, acknowledging the pain, naming it, and not minimizing it, because we suppress and minimize. Stop doing that. That's a wounded feminine energy. What we want to do is bring whatever's coming up to the surface and bubbling when you're thinking about who's hurt you really bad, because when you stick with pain, it can manifest in a disease. It can manifest in gut issues. It can manifest in mental instability. It can manifest in this very fragmented way of being. Okay. And that's not what we want in the workplace. That's not what we want at home. And so we want to do that. So challenge a lot of people don't understand that self-love, which these beautiful ladies have already talked about, and they're speaking from experience, is that you have to dip. How do you get from self-sabotage to self-love? How do we bridge that gap?
Right.
When you're from maternal and paternal wounding, you are operating from a system of woundedness and unmet, unspoken, not enough, lack. That's where we're operating from. How do we bridge? What we do is we start to name, whether it's you write it on a piece of paper, whether you want to do that near water. I would highly recommend some people need to go to near a body of water and kind of just sit down and let kind of the elements do its thing with you. Sometimes now everybody's different. You can do that near water. You can do that near an altar. If you have a prayer place at home, it has nothing to do with denomination. This is just being, right? If you have a Zen space at home, whatever it may be, or you just have a quiet space at home for you. And what you want to do is start journaling what exactly your unmet and unspoken and repressed hurt and pain that just keeps, you're bottled up inside. And you want to write that down and challenge your thinking and your narrative. Why do I feel like I'm not enough? What's happening here? Is there somebody that's making me feel that way? Or am I giving permission for that person to make me feel that way? Because we're giving that person permission. We're giving them the key, but we hold the key to our own liberation, right? So very important. So what we want to do is, are we operating on perfectionism? That means that we need to always keep up the facade. No, we're human. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to show up and do your best. And your best has to be good enough sometimes. Practice self-compassion when you're hurting like this. This can take some time to unwind. Don't give yourself a timeline and say, okay, well, I want to feel better in 3 months. No, you could suffer from deep depression and anxiety, and it's okay. We all have periods in our life and seasons, very tough seasons, in our lives where we have to unpack that. And if we keep rotating that, that's where that kind of curse and that way of being goes into generations, because it's very unhealed and it starts to leak out. And we carry this. It's like pounds of weight on our bodies and in our minds for decades. And that's what you don't want to do. Setting radical boundaries. Boundary setting is extremely important.
Very important.
What does that look like? We don't want our natural state of being is becoming a martyr. What does that mean? Being a martyr, it comes like, oh, well, we have to nurture, we have to protect, we have to always be pleasing others for the home to run okay, or for this project to run smoothly. No. Sometimes you need to kind of delegate in a workplace. Sometimes you have to delegate things. Sometimes you have to make some cuts that you may not want. Sometimes you may have to fire someone from a project, and it's not anything personal. It's just they're not showing up as what you want it to be for the project. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions. And when you make that hard decisions and you come up against with resistance, that's how you know when you're having that resistant wall come up, it's there to be cleared. So every time you're more resistant, your fear is coming up, and the doubts and all the muck, you have to get past that and go to the other side. And when you go to the other side, that's your greatest liberation right there, because you step into a new timeline, a new narrative, and a new way of being. And so the boundaries needs to be, hey, I'm not going to be a martyr. I'm not going to protect everyone. I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not going to be a people pleaser. I'm not going to be like what I saw with my mom. Let's say if your mom has always been silencing her needs, staying repressed. I'm just making this up. And she has to always keep everything a certain way in perfectionism. So these themes of martyrism, perfectionism, self-sabotage, all of these things are parts of wounding that we all as females need to understand to step out of. How do you step out of that? You are not your emotions. Their emotions are signals. They're signals that shows you what needs to change, what needs to be alchemized, what needs to be transmuted, what work needs to be done. Then after you do that, what you want to do is dismantle the patriarchal norms by transforming that pain that we just talked about that comes up and bubbles up and that's in your journaling. We're going to transform that pain into your leadership as a feminine. And when you transform that requires fostering high levels of empathy and resilience. We talked about this in previous podcasts of how to embody resiliency and what that looks like. I encourage everybody to go through Mrs. Lady's J and Lady K's podcast and dive into the resilient podcast. But you are already resilient.
Thank you.
Women are naturally resilient, and so what we want to do is create what is wounding, and how do we show up as wounding? A wounded feminine, right, is laziness. I'm going to just give you some examples: powerlessness, weakness, manipulated, withholding, neediness, codependent nature, oversensitivity. Don't be too oversensitive. It's good to be sensitive. That's a beautiful thing, but don't overdo it. Overly emotional. Okay. All right. So when we are transmuting that and we're meeting to the other side of resistance, we're going to show up as awareness, respect, balance of the feminine and masculine energy within. And we're going to show freedom, synergy, fulfillment, clarity, connection, right? Adaptivity. We adapt. That is part of being resilient. Wholeness and in complete alignment with our assignment of what we came here to do, right? So we want to transform into being more of a receptive leader in transforming that pain. We're going to step into cycle breaking. What does that mean? We want to break the cycles that have been given to us. Whatever cards we were dealt and given in our mom and dad, maternal and paternal, they are not our identity. Your emotions are not your identity. Your paternal and maternal upbringing is not your identity. Your culture is not your identity. The color of your skin is not your identity. It's what you choose to show up in and how you choose to transform your timeline and your inner narratives and how you manifest towards what you want to co-create with the divine. So reclaiming your narrative. What are we doing here? We're reparenting our inner child. Forget about who your mom and dad is. Let's remove all of that. Well, we're going to talk about mommy and daddy another time. Let's talk about reparenting your inner child. Your mom and dad is not responsible of how you show up in society as a feminine. You are responsible. So taking ownership and authority over your own life is extremely essential, because it's no one's fault how you choose to show up. It's yours and yours only. So once you understand to make it about you, because it is about you, and you reparent that inner child, that inner girl, that little girl that wants to be loved, she wants to be acknowledged, she wants to be cared for, she wants to be understood, she wants to show up and show all that she got, you know, women ruling the world, then you have to be able to heal those things. And it's okay to be where you are. Just know that these wounds are very highly capable of heal. You can self-heal yourself. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't think that they can heal themselves because they're so fractured. No, fracturedness means that you're actually feel something and you are human. So you're allowed to feel. But what we want to do with that feeling is channel it into creative passion. You ever heard of your favorite musician and artist? What do? Their breakup songs hit the Billboard records. Why? Because they use their pain, whether it's a male or a female artist, they use their pain and they channel it inside their passion, inside their life purpose. So what you want to do in achieving the assignment that Lady J alluded on, you want to bring your passions, your hobbies, everything that makes you you and what you're attracted to, what you're aligned to, what you resonate with, and you want to mold your purpose and your passions and your hobbies and your creative outlets into these things to be aligned with who you are. And when you start to embody that, that's how you show up in your highest state of being. That's how you attract your highest timelines. So I use your creative force by channeling it into these passions and into your assignments. That's the best way I can say to show up as a sacred, high empowered feminine.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Wow. Use your creative force. Let your pain turn it into your passion and move there.
Your pain is your project, Lady
Your
J.
project.
That's the project. That's the project. And it's not a never-ending project. Right. Sometimes you have to know when to stop doing the healing.
That's true.
Healed, and it's okay. And there's going to be times where it'll crop up again and test you, and it's okay. But when you are at a healed state, it's okay to now take that and share it with others.
Mm-hmm. You mean you touch, right? Well said. Well, you know, everything you spoke about, Pravati, is so profound, because for you to get to the state of creativity, and as you talk about creative force, you have to take the action, the inspired action. You got to focus to be healed so that you can come to the place of wholeness. Mm-hmm. Because when you can come to the place of wholeness, then you can express everything you tell you. You can dive deeply into your truth because you've already healed. You're moving from that past trauma, and you're working on the reparenting. And I also like what you said, that you cannot blame your parents. You're here. You have to choose. You have to make the decision. You have to decide, what am I going to do from this point forward? who am I going to be? Because we're constantly becoming.
Yes.
And that is why mindset, we always say on the show, mindset is super, super important, because you have to have the level of mindset. Because if you don't have the mindset, you're not going to take any action. Because you're going to say, this is the way I am, this is always the way you're going to be, this is how is it. And then you say there, you say stuck. But when you can achieve that, the level of mindset, and can able to move and transform yourself, take the inspired action, take ownership, as you one of the words you spoke about, taking ownership, right? Taking ownership, and so that you can be and live full, move into the space of wholeness, so that you can be, because we juggle with so many. And that is why I also feel, and I know Lady K and Sahini will also say, that is why self-care is super important, because we don't have to carry the burden all along. We manage and we handle everything, the household, and then we have to decide, you have to pause and say, you know what, I've got to do this for me. I've got to take care of myself. That's why self-care is super important, so you can function and live the level of assignment that we're talking about, that you want to be all of it. Bring
That's
everything.
that's why you want to step out of that martyrism mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we want to be a martyr? Why do we want to burn
Right.
ourselves out? Why do we want to be a burnout in our career? Why are we burning ourselves out at home? There's a reason why. Because we feel that we're not worthy. It comes from
Mm,
a space of unworthiness.
right.
Why do you feel that you need somebody's going to value you in your career, or somebody's going to value you at home? Whether it's your significant other, whether it's your boss at work, that they're going to value your work more better, or you're going to get that promotion because you need to overburn and you need to be a martyr and do everything you can until you're burnt. No, that's not it. You want to make powerful action. You want to make empowered decisions. You want to make an impact, but make an impact and leave an imprint, and that's it. That's
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Right. That is enough.
That's enough.
You know,
Thank you.
this is such an empowering
Yeah.
conversation. It is a very enriching conversation because there's so many nuggets it's
Mm-hmm.
been given in this conversation. If we only pay, if the women out there they're paying attention, there's a lot of nuggets being dropping here for us to help ourselves as women. Because many times we're showing up as women and we're not showing up authentic. Many times we're acting roles that we didn't even audition for, you know. And I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. I'm switching gears to the men. Because a lot of times men undervalue women. They undervalue women. You know, sometimes in a home, a husband or a partner, whatever it is, whatever situation is happening in that household, you make that woman feel so less than herself.
Mm-hmm.
You talk her down so much that she do not even believe in herself. You know, and if you have a woman in as your partner, why you as an individual would want to make her feel less than and not worthy of herself? So that tells you there's something wrong with you as well as an individual. So you need to check yourself as well. As a man, you need to check yourself as well and see exactly what's going on with you internal as a man. You know, because if you have a supportive wife, you need to lift her up. You need to
Mm-hmm.
support her. You need to make her feel worthy, you know. And the women now, you gotta empower yourself. You gotta have the right tools to empower yourself. I'm really glad of Privity touch on journaling. Journal the way how you're feeling. Privity also touch on reparenting yourself as a woman because we came through a lot of stuff, you know, and we need to really reparent ourselves. Forgive your mother, forgive your
Mm-hmm.
father, and forgive yourself. You gotta forgive yourself because many times we're not forgiving ourselves. We cast the blame on so many people for what's happening with us, not realizing we have a choice as a woman. Privity also touch on changing our narrative. What are you running on? What program are you running on every single
Right.
day? What is your
Super
program?
important.
As a woman, what are some of the things you're telling yourself every day? Are you waking up not being grateful? Are you leaving your home not even taking 5 minutes to check in with yourself as a woman? Are you grounding yourself? What are some of your grounding techniques? Do you have a routine as a woman? Because we continue pouring into people every single day. We are pouring. What are you doing to pour back into yourself as a woman? What are you doing to pour back into yourself? Many times we are turning up into spaces. We are so broken. We are so shattered. What are we doing as women to pour back into our lives? Are you taking the time for stillness? Are you prioritizing stillness in your life? Because many times we're sitting behind a desk, but we're really not sitting there. Our thoughts are somewhere else. We're thinking so many things because we are running on a program. We are running on a program. So we need to bring ourselves back into balance. And I'm really glad Privity talk about the masculine and the feminine side, because many times we don't know when to balance that. And we don't even
Right.
know how to balance it. We don't know when to show our masculinity. We don't even know how to show our femininity. We don't know how to do it. And that is why sometimes it creates chaos in our lives. So we as women, we really need to check ourselves as well. We gotta check ourselves, because sometimes we in a relationship and we're not even showing up in that relationship as a woman. We're not showing up. We're not showing up in a marriage as a woman. So we gotta check ourselves and stop blaming people, because we quick to cast the blame and not looking at our personal life and see exactly what needs to be attended to. So, this evening we're going to be raw. We're going to be raw here in this space. We're going to be raw because we need to address these things as women and stop sweeping these things under the rug. Because many times we're saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can change your narrative. You have the choice. As a woman, you have the choice. You can empower yourself. You can empower yourself as an individual. You have that choice. If you're showing up into office and you really don't like what's happening in the office, you can speak up. And you don't have to speak up in any harsh way. And a nice soft tone. You can speak and tell how you're feeling in this space. It's okay to speak. But the thing is that for years, we have silenced our voices. And because of that, sometimes it's very difficult for us to really bring the voice out.
Right.
But we are here this evening to let you know that you have a voice and you can speak. So, Henny?
Yeah. But before
Yes.
Srini jump in, I just want to touch on the points that you mentioned. Is that is why it's so super important that we have other women surrounding us, so that when those moments to gather the strength and the energy and the confidence, Because when you're talking about speak, sometimes everyone cannot do it because of everything they've been through, the past traumas they're coming through. But when you have a friend or a sister, the sisterhood built in a group or whatever, you can have that something to lean on, that can support you, that can give you that muscle to speak and to say what's on your mind, depends on whatever environment it may be. So it's so essential for other women to support each other and give us a level of strength that we can let that voice be heard, and urge and have and provide us with a level of confidence that we can speak whatever we might be encountering challenges, and that is safe, that we can say what is on our mind. But it's important, I just want to say that that's important to have the other women around ourselves to support us, so that we can be vocal whatever we're experiencing at our time. Sorry, Suhini, go right ahead.
And break the cycle.
Yeah.
Break that cycle.
Yeah,
Suhini?
yeah. I just want to include a point here that definitely men are responsible, but I feel that it's not only men, women are also responsible
Yes.
because I have seen this, I have witnessed this, that whether being, I mean, sometimes women become so much jealous. Out of jealousy, they want to pull down the other woman. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not, definitely, it's not only men, because there are so many situations where I have seen that women saying, like, you shouldn't do it because this is not done, this is not the way we need to do it, we need to we are staying at a male dominating society, and we need to, like, listen to them, and we always keep the men at pedestal. So it happens out of jealousy sometimes, and sometimes we are not accustomed to that kind of situations since childhood. We know that, like, we are in a male dominating society, and we have to treat them that way. We have to worship them, because in India there is a culture, like, you have to, like, think your husband, you need to worship your husband. Marriage means you are worshiping your husband. You need to listen to them. So it's sometimes you can see that men are, like, not that much rigid in terms of women, and men, men are not that much rigid in terms of all these norms and all these cultural things. But it's only women, they just think that no, we don't need to participate in all these things. They always say that, like, there are in Indian villages, there are still such Indian villages where there is panchayat system, and they say, like, no, women don't, women in those villages, they think that they are inferior to men. If you go for the panchayat system, you can see that uh, only the men, they are, like, dominating the villages, they are taking care all the injustices happening to the villages, occurring to that villages, regarding women. And it's it's the woman, they always say no, like, we are used to it, we are very much used to it, and as I am doing it, my child will also do it, my daughter, and all other women, they also need to follow that follow that same path. So even if uh, a woman want to raise her voice, that is suppressed by the woman she is surrounded with. So I feel, yeah, that's my point, that it's not the main always. It's there are women, they are suppressing their own voices and the voices of their of the other women. So they are also responsible behind all the like injustices happening to women and discrimination occurring to women. Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah. Thank you. Privati, can you speak to that?
Yeah. I mean,
Thank you, Suhini.
thank you, Sohini. I come from my great grandparents are from India, so I resonate with you, Miss Sohini. Coming from those very archaic systems, but in one way, when the U.S. something's happening in the U.S., it's a vibratory thing that's happening in the U.S. And when something is happening in a major first world country, it starts to vibrate and permeate into other countries. Because when the US is doing it, it's India will adopt it. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that our females understand on a global scale. And this is why it's good to have platforms like this, whether it's a radio, whether it's a live stream, where you get to connect with minds. You want to use technology for the greater good, not for all the dark stuff that exists, but it's to illuminate the mind, right? So on that note, what I'd like to do, because we do have those Indian systems, and I think that we should implement them in our country.
I think Privati is a bit frozen. I like when you said, Privati, that you want to eliminate the mind, because when the thing is, when we can understand on that level, you know, things can change. That is why mindset is so super important, because when we can understand things on a different level and how it can really affect a way that we
So
can really.
sorry, I was my connection was lost.
No, continue, sorry.
um okay, so what I was gonna say is I was writing down a few things, and
Mhm.
I want to mention about um it's not our husband's fault only. It's not our boss's fault if it's a male. It's not a patriarchal society. We can name all the external circumstances.
Right.
It's how we show up as an empowered
Yes, yes.
feminine.
Mhm.
That's why I bring it back to us. And that's why I bring it back to nothing that we do in our imprint and our blueprint that we come here to do. Nothing goes outside of ourselves. Western philosophies focus on everything external, and that is the reason why sometimes there's so much chaos, because they forget that within us has those two energies, and you have to know how you're using them in the right way and showing up in the right time and place for that. And so I want to one we had a comment discussing about forgiveness, and I want to touch base on a few things, three things. How to forgive yourself, because how we show up now. A male, right? A male has feminine energy too, but if
Mhm.
he doesn't balance that feminine energy, because they suppress it. They're not allowed to
Right.
cry. They're not allowed to show weakness. They're not allowed. No. If you show that vulnerability to your children, if you show that vulnerability to your wife also feels the a-okay to show up that way.
Mhm.
And if you hold space, a container for her, she will feel safe at home. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And
Everything.
it
Absolutely.
starts to amplify. It starts to
Mhm.
show up in their career. It starts, if that husband is watering that wife, the way that wife will show up in society is just a benefit. But then what inner work she also does individually is also that much amplified as
Right.
well. And that's what you want to focus on, is that
Absolutely.
this is not anything external. This is not about society and what's happening outside of ourselves. What we have to do is check in with within. And what I
Mhm.
want to do is I'm gonna touch base on forgiveness. How do you forgive your past transgressions? Understand that your past transgressions are not sticked rigid to your identity. Your rigidness is your thinking. Your rigidity is in your thinking. When you start to move from rigidity to fluidity, that's where you start to become adaptability. Adaptability starts to emerge. And that's where I'm going to repeat that. That was really good. But what you want to
It was.
go from rigidity to fluidity to adaptability. And why we were going to do that is because you want to forgive yourself for all your past transgressions. Because what's going to happen is when you don't forgive yourself, you're going to be shackled and you're going to be chained to act and show up the same exact way that you did 10 and 20 years ago. And guess what? You're going to live the same year you lived 10 years later, and there's no different year than you did the last year. And your resolutions mean zero, nada, nothing. Right?
Cycle.
So what you want to do is start giving yourself compassion. It's okay that you made some mistakes. It's okay that you took the wrong path. It's okay. It's okay. But it's how you how you show up in your next move. God's watching.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So whoever that is for you, universe is watching. So how you show up in your next move, that's what shows what's going on up here. That's why the inner engineering is so important, because if your mind is straight, your heart is not hurting, your body is not feeling wounded, then you're showing up as your sacred, authentic self. And when your people around you, your friends, the people you attract, the people you spend the most time with, the people you check in with, that's also a channel to make sure that your channel doesn't get confused. You have to keep your space and as you get older, when you're going from 15 to 20 to 25 to 35 to 45, when you're getting to that age, you have to understand how important your inner circles and who you choose to blend energies with. Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get recontaminated. I know that sounds very weird, but that's just about describe it at this moment. Because what you want to do is, let's say you show up and you do the inner work, right? That I'm talking about. You don't want to contaminate yourself because it feels familiar. When you're stepping in that unfamiliar place, that means you're going to get scared. That's normal. But what you want to do is, okay, look at who you admire in your career. Look at who you admire in your name, like 5 people that you can admire and you want to be in the next 5 years and 3 years. And start looking at that future mapping, I will call it. That future mapping of your future self. What does your highest self look like? And what the highest self embodies forgiveness. Embodies forgiveness of people who didn't know how to love you better, didn't know how to show up better, like your parents. That's why I'm removing the parents out of the equation, and I'm trying to focus on the individual. And so they didn't know, there's no manual for anybody. So they didn't know. Okay, so now it's your responsibility as an adult, how you show up. And so when you take that ownership and you say, okay, I'm going to forgive myself for my transgressions, how I showed up as a child, whatever I did, how I showed up, right? And when you start to forgive, you remove those shackles, those chains, those rigidity, the black and white mindset that this is what it is and this is how it's always going to be. Right. There's no such thing. When you step in fluidity, then you have a chance at actually embodying something better than what you could have imagined for yourself. You expand your parameters and ways of being. You expand your dimensions. You tune into something that you are born with. All women are born with a very high level of intuition. And that's what you want to do. And by gratitude and grounding practices, those are portals to step into.
Yeah.
When you step into gratitude, there's always something to be grateful for. Even a negative experience can be grateful because you get to understand, who do you don't want in your life? Who is showing up that you don't want? Or what happened that made you want to leave that job, or whatever it be. So whatever, and this goes for both male and female, but we're focusing on females right now.
Right.
So I want to empower our young females and our older females to understand that it doesn't matter what chapter you're in your life, what area you're in your life. We all experience this. And so what you want to do is grounding and gratitude techniques and remove the shackles of the unforgiveness that you're holding so dear in your heart. Start to remove that unforgiveness, because when you go back to the divine, that forgiveness will be given. But you have to learn to forgive yourself to remove that shackle. And when you lose that shackle and you lose those chains, then you can step into gratitude and grounding practices to go into that portal and that new way of being.
Wow.
That's how you bring value. That's how you show up and bring value to everything you touch and everything you do. Because how we do one thing is how
we do
you
everything.
Exactly. Sohini?
I wanna, yeah. I wanna say here, like, as he said, there are two energies, like female and
Right.
male energies. Yes. Yeah. I was thinking the same, that there is yin and yang energy. We
Mm-hmm.
know that, like, yeah, and there must be a balance. People always say that there must be a balance, because men who actually carry the male energy, they are assigned to protect the woman, but and women are here to nurture the children, and their job is, like, their job is limited to household things, and their role is limited to domestic things. But the thing is, what kind of protection? Yes, men are physically much more, like, strong than women, and they give protection from physical things, like, suppose, any kind of, like, what to say, any kind of thing that is, uh, uh, I mean, physical things, like, men can protect women and the family from, uh, as they are physically strong, they can protect them from external fears or external challenges. But protection does not mean only physical protection. It is also the emotional protection, and that is nurtured by the woman. Like, in our old scriptures, um, the, like Shiva and Shakti. That's why I am mentioning it. In our old scriptures, it is said that Shakti is born from the spine of Shiva. So the spine of a man is a woman, actually, and male energy is strong, robust from the exterior. Women are soft in their exterior, but in their interior, they are stronger than men. They have that type of rigidity. So we often, we often um, misunderstand that women are strong much more than women, and yes, sorry, men are much more stronger than women, and that's why they are assigned the roles of being a protector. No, it's not the truth. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for that clarity, Sahini. Because the thing is that women, we are nurturers, right? If something happened, we are quick to go into that soft space of nurturing. And when we go to that soft space of nurturing, we always have to remember that our inner strength lies within us. Many times we as women, we are looking for the strength on the outside, not knowing the strength lies within us. And because we are looking for it on the outside, we get heartbreak, we are disappointed, people don't show up the way they're supposed to show up for us. We have a lot of expectations of people, not knowing that we are carrying that strength within ourselves as women. And we need to start to recognize that as women, that we are carrying our strength. And as Sweeney talked about a Shakti, right? We have that Shakti within us. And in order for us to bring it out, we got to tap in. And a lot of times we as women, we are afraid to tap into our own energy. A lot of women, they are running from their own energy. And if you're not going to embrace your energy as a woman, how can you even understand yourself as a woman? As women, we need to embrace our energy. We need to look at ourselves. If something is not happening the way we expect it to really happen in our lives, we got to examine ourselves, examine our energy. Are we giving energy to places that really don't appreciate our energy? Are we showing up ourselves into spaces that where we don't even belong? Are we listening to things that we should not be listening to? So if you really look at it, we have the answers to our lives. It all depends on the choices that we are making as women, how we are positioning ourselves as women. We have to really take a hard look at our lives because we are responsible for our lives. We are responsible for our lives. We are responsible for what we are listening to. We are responsible for what we are opening ourselves to. Because if you are in a space and you're realizing, you know what, my energy don't need to be here, you can excuse yourself from that space. You are allowed to excuse yourself from that space. We, as Privity rightfully said, we are the engineers of our own lives. But a lot of times we are handing our lives to other people, or we are living other people's lives. So we really need to restructure and reframe our narrative, how we're really walking this journey. Tap in. We gotta go internal. All the answers that we're looking for, it's internal. And once you can go internal and sit with ourselves, because many times we can't even sit with ourselves. It's pretty hard for us to even do that because we are so uncomfortable in that space. But there is where you get the answers that you're looking for. Once you're sitting with yourself and it's becoming very uncomfortable, stay with that, on that uncomfortable feeling. Because when you stay in that feeling, always make sure that you got your journal next to you and start journaling how you're feeling. Because once you are at that place of you're feeling uncomfortable, it's time for transition to something else. Once you're going to be transitioning, that period is going to be very uncomfortable. It's very, very uncomfortable because you're about to transition to another phase of your life, to another chapter of your life. So it's time that we as women look at ourselves and again stop blaming people, because we tend to blame people all the time. We cast in blame. She, he. No. It's time for us to look at ourselves, because once you see somebody show up in front of you, they're mirroring you. They are mirroring you as an individual. If something needs to be healed, that is why it keeps showing up in your life. And that is why we got to examine ourselves and look at ourselves, do introspection, do audit. We got to do a life audit of our lives and see where we are going. We have to do it as women. We have to. Because if we don't do it, we're going to continue to go in this cycle all the time. And then the first thing we women normally say, but why this keep happening to me? It gotta happen because you're not addressing the top. You're not addressing it.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
not addressing what exactly is happening in your life. You gotta address it, and to address it, you gotta go inward. There's no other way.
Okay.
You could keep running and running and running and running, but you gotta run into the middle. That is the only way you're gonna get it, right, Lady J?
I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Run into the
right.
middle, the core,
Run into the middle.
The core,
the eye of the
and that
storm.
Exactly.
yeah, and it takes me back to like this when we study at IAN, and they always say you have to go to the root cause.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to go to the root cause, and when you can go to the root cause, then you can uncover. And I like what you said, Lady K, that you have to sit with yourself, and that's why it's so important to show ourselves grace. I know you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about that, Privity. Grace, love, and compassion. And that is why mindset is so important, because once you can open up your mind to new ideas, new technology, new of everything, you're finding new tools that can work for you. When you spoke about gratitude and grounding is
Mm-hmm.
a tool for you. That was very powerful, because when we can go there, and when we could find the level of gratitude, when we can find the level of grounding for ourselves, because it's about us. It's about us as women. We want to be strong. We want to show up with our power. We want to step into the spaces where we can contribute, know that we are worthy, know that we are valued. And when we can find that, coming from a place of wholeness, of course, that is why reparenting is so super important. Be healed, and to do that, you really have to turn inwards. We say this all the time on the show. Turn inwards, lean inwards, focus on your inner intuition, because then you find new wisdom. You find new wisdom, and your inspiration start to flow effortlessly because you're turning inwards. We always try to look on the outside. No, we got to go within. And when you can go within and dive very deep within, pausing, so much can uncover for you. You become a new person, because you find new discoveries, right? You become a new person. You change, and not only change, you move to that level of transformation. Because when you can be fully transformed, then you're able to release old patterns, because you know that those old patterns no longer serves you, because they're not contributing to your living your highest self. Because you're living your highest self, you're moving into a new trajectory, and so that everything can open up to you, all your goals and your dreams, you start to think differently, because in that space there's a new level of clarity. And when you can move in a new level of clarity, then you can create a roadmap that you can move in a different direction. Who am I becoming? What do I want it to look like for me? And when you start to go into those spaces and uncover all those things, life can be so different for you. So if you're one that's listening tonight, women, girls, you're going to catch us on the replay, know you are special. Know that you are amazing. And when you can pause and practice of every single thing that we talked about, some of the tools and the gems that Sohini, Lady K, and Privity and myself are speaking about, is that you want 2026 to look different for you. You want 2026 to look different for you. And so for it to look different from you, you have to take the inspired action. You have to take the inspired action. It's important for you, because you don't want to keep running on the old patterns, on the old paradigm. It's a new year. We're moving into spring, right? We want to bloom, we want to blossom. And to achieve that and to come with that, then there are certain things that we gotta let go. I like when you talk about forgiveness, Privity, because that's essential. It's essential for us as an individual. Let that baggage go. Because when we can let that go, we can function lighter, right? And we are allowing new things to come towards us. We are attracting new things to ourselves, because we let that baggage go, the old patterns, the old ways of doing things. And we are rewriting a new narrative. And we're rewriting a new narrative, we're writing our new stories. So because what we sell ourselves on a daily basis matters. Our words, what we listen to, what we focus on, where we allot our energy to. And are we choosing what is choosing us so that we can stay strong, we can be empowered and show up everything of our best and live the life that we deserve so we can create that level of impact and create that powerful moment when we connect with others or collaborate. We can leave something and a deposit that is very profound and it can be lasting, not only profound but lasting. Perfect.
I wanted to add to that, Miss Lady J. I love that you left it at lasting, because how we choose to program ourselves now, it will reverberate forever. And so you want to make sure that your forever resonance is something to be proud of. It's something to be left with your kids. It's something to be left with your family. And so my job as a holistic leader in this space is to make sure that you guys take actionable insights. When you get insights, when you're in that receptivity mode and you're trying to clear out the dirty laundry of our thoughts and our ways of being, in our default modes, and we start to examine, like Lady K spoke about, we start to do that inner examining and re-engineering and restructuring of our ways of being. I want to add to that and say there's a word called dogmatic, and it's the rigid principles and the dogma that we're running on, and the way our parents showed up for us has a really great, impactful, very powerful, impactful, lasting, Miss Lady J, image on how we create ourselves as a woman as we grow up. That's because that's our first models, and that's why it's so important that as you're reparenting and you're removing those models and we're extracting those models from our brain, what we want to do is start to extract all of that stuff, all the layers and all the stuff that was taught by our parents, by our aunties, our uncles, the examples that we first had, and that abuse on us, what we want to do is take actionable insights and remove the dogmatic values, because you don't have to be what your mom or your dad or this person said you should be. You got to check in within what makes you happy, because happiness is relative. It's not just about happiness. It's about also fulfilling your assignment and purpose. So bringing back that into the mix of how we show up as a feminine, I want to go into, just as a lasting nugget here, guys, I want to go into when we were talking about journaling and people don't even know how to begin and understand what I mean by journaling. I want to expand on that a little bit, of what it means to reparent your inner child. Your inner child is how we show up as a female, because any way that we show up and way of being, that's what we need to look at, right? So what we want to do is start to broaden our childhood emotional wounds, and what's stuck and what feels frozen, what creates the most resistance. We are going to have and rewrite the inner dialogue. What we're going to do is we're going to now look at us. Miss Lady K talked about this, the adult who can now witness. You want to be the observer now. You're not an inner child that's helpless and hopeless and everything's outside of you and it's everyone else's fault. That's victim mentality, right? What we want to do is step away from victim mentality and step into an empowered state of being and be the creative, intuitive beings that we're supposed to be. So when we do that, we're going to become the adult who can now observe our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, because we're considered more emotional. And we're going to witness these feelings as signals and emotions. And what we want to do is understand that when we got overwhelmed, how did we choose to act? And what did we do? right? And you're going to start to search those origins. What did love cost me in my family? These are just prompts, right? What happened when I said no as a child? We're talking about boundaries here. What emotion was never allowed to be expressed? And that's how you're showing up subconsciously as a young woman in society. So what was now repressed, right? So that was never allowed to express in your thing, because your emotional resonance, it impermeates into your DNA, and what we were trying to do is transcribe that code. What we're trying to do is reprogram the subconscious mind and the layerings that we've come into. Writing is a cathartic way. Miss Lady K and Jay had mentioned about how we choose to use those creative juices and flowing through a podcast, through different methods of communication. What you want to do is start writing down your emotional processing. So what you want to do is rewire your stress response. If your stressors, when something is stressing you out or something's repressed, you want to start to rewire how you want to show up. Okay. And what you want to do is start to reprogram your inner child dialogue. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm too overwhelmed. Or I can't, whatever that is, there's no such thing as I can't. Right. So there's that. What we want to do is create let's see here, limit the sessions, because sometimes these sessions are very heavy when you're doing this inner journaling and inner emotional journaling. So what you want to do is limit to 20 to 30 minutes, because this can be heavy stuff to unpack, and you want to do it in bite-sized sessions of yourself. And you can do 30 minutes a day to kind of reset your nervous system, because it's all going to link back to your nervous system and what feels safe and anchored with you. That's how you want to show up as a feminine. What you want to do is create a safe container with the grounding techniques we talked about, the gratitude techniques we talked about. You can do deep breathing, stretching, stepping outside. You can do the journaling we just spoke about. You can remind your inner child that you are safe. You can start to reparenting. And because women, when we show up in this flighty way and fight and flight response in our nervous systems, we actually, that's showing up when we're showing up in fight and flight, that's showing up as self-sabotage and not anchored in self-love. So we want to recalibrate that. What you want to do is while your mind, is flooding with all these thoughts, you write them down and you start to process. And you want to start using methods of healing. Okay. The sequence, I'm going to give you guys a structure. What you want to do in your journaling, you could do what happened, what I felt, what I needed, what I learned, and what do I want now. So that's where your actionable insights come at last. So again, I'm going to say it one more time. We're going to look at what happened. Again, the emotional journaling, whatever the incident is that's hurting you. What happened, what I felt, what I needed, what I learned, and what I want to show up now, or what I want now. What are my needs now? Once you have that going on, you're tracking your patterns, and you're not trying to achieve martyrdom. You're not trying to achieve perfectionism. That's not what it is. You're just trying to rework that pattern. And patterns reveal wounds. And the wounds are the things that need to be reparented. Revisit, but don't relive. So you can actually
That's a good one.
Something, but you don't have to relive every emotion. You can understand that the core parts of those emotions are what you need to heal. You don't have to put yourself through that mess all over again. We're not trying to rehash PTSD moments. What we're trying to do is heal the PTSD moments. So we're just revisiting as a looker upon the glass, like in the back of you in the rear view mirror. And we're just going to figure out if we're still showing up that way that we did 10 and 15 and 20 years ago. And then we're going to process that and know what our goals are and how we want to be validated, how we feel safe, what boundaries we need to do, and how do we attune and prevent also people pleasing and codependency natures.
That is so good.
No self-abandonment is in this equation. No self-abandonment. We're pouring into ourselves to create a container of life and giving and nurturing, but always remember to pour back into yourself. And also learning conflict resolution. As a female, we're very powerful beings, and you want to have very good tools of conflict resolution. So aside from reparenting yourself, you want to have good conflict resolution skills. What are your triggers? You want to write on a separate page of this emotional journaling and reparenting. What are your triggers? Your triggers are just there to show you what needs to be worked on. How do we work through them? You want to ask a higher power. You want to also step in and say, hey, I am not these things. I just accumulated these things over time and I need to change them. And you need to be able to be like, I can change them, because you can. You are the architect of reality. You are that. The inner engineering that you do is what shows up in your lens. And then that's how you show up with others. So every person you meet, aside from being a mirror, is a feedback loop of what you need to work on. And sometimes, like I said earlier in this podcast, sometimes you did a lot of healing and you don't need to continue healing. You just need to be being.
Just be.
It's okay to just be.
Yeah, just be.
But I want you guys to sit in that, what memories come to mind, and you're going to dismantle all those programming. You're going to dismantle those memories, not relive them and rehash them, but you're going to understand what those signals are that comes up with them. And when you guys understand that, you guys want to heal that. And healing takes a bit of work. So there's no rushed process here. Take time, give yourself compassion, give yourself forgiveness that you've made some mistakes and it's okay. It's fine. And then what you want to do is reparent yourself in the sense of compassion. What did I need to hear as a child that I never did? How can I speak to those words to myself today in my own voice? This podcast is about owning your voice, owning you, showing up and owning your mistakes. Which behaviors do I judge harshly? Stop being your inner critic. Females are so much with criticism. Don't do inner criticism to yourself. The world judges us enough. Start unpacking that inner critic. Remove all of that. That's all junk. So what you want to do is, what boundaries that I need to show love to my inner child? How can I create a home or an environment that feels emotionally safe to me? What does forgiveness of myself, we talked about forgiveness, I will say it again, of myself and others look like in this chapter of my life? Release those shackles and chains of rigidity. And how will I know I've started to trust myself again? And you want to build that, instead of self-criticism, start to build self-trust. No more self-abandonment, self-love. So I have the right to process, not perfection. I have the right to my truth. I can tolerate being misunderstood, and I am learning to stay with myself. And you reintegrate that. And I will voice what you want to do is do this over time in a week. I will voice one need I want this week, or I can voice one thing I want or two things I want in a week. I will rest before I overwork or burn out. Women do too much. What does that look like where you are not overpacking your plate? What emotions are repeating? What beliefs have softened or loosened? And what boundaries do I need to strengthen? So what we want to do is focus on the loops that are unresolved and replace it with genuine 3 areas of genuine growth. And that's how we reparent. I just wanted to give you guys actionable insights. I'm all about actionable insights, because if we talk about these topics but we don't dive into how to make those changes, and people will not know where to begin. That's what's important to me. Practical insights.
Practical insights. I mean, you outline and you give us a full overview. One who might never start journaling before and may say, you know what, I want to do something new. I want to do practice reparenting. How do I start? You have given us a full view. Where do we start? And how? I like when you spoke about when you start to do it, you revisit, but don't relive. Don't stay there. Don't relive it. And I think that is super important, because I think sometimes when one go back and start to, revisit that, then you want to stay there and how it makes you feel. Yeah, you acknowledge you acknowledge, yeah, this has happened, whatever it is you're writing out. But then you have to able to have the wherewithal to move beyond that and take the level of action that you can integrate in your life and just be better, not staying there.
And when
So
you're sleeping at night, you're ending that day. It's finished. The brand new day is a new opportunity to reprogram and reparent again.
mhm.
Use each day as a wise new chapter for yourself. And don't be so hard. We do too much inner critic. Our inner critic is always screaming. Quiet it, and remove the noise of
And
society.
remove the noise, right? That I mean, that is so true, because the inner critic is what is so powerful that we say stuck, and you're trying to move beyond where you are, but you're not, because you're being so harsh judging of yourself. The more you show yourself grace, respecting those level of boundaries, and know what the triggers are, and able to move beyond that. That is why the tools are so much important, because when we have the tools, I should say, we can work better, we can make better choices, we can be smarter of how we acknowledge and move and show up. Because I mean, there's a lot on our plate on a daily basis, all the notification, every single thing. That is why it's so super important to start your morning with a morning routine that you say fortify during the day, and find that time for your journaling, as you beautifully outline, so that we can really move and stay strong, because we all are trying to do the best we can every day.
Lady J, it's so important to create that sacred space as you get older as a female. It's almost a dire necessity at that point, as you get older, to create that routine in your day and in your weekly, to create that sacred space to rejuvenate yourself, and to check in, and to do a self-check, and to retrain your mind.
Right. Because if you don't do that, then you just keep running, you work, you burn out, and so much is so then you're not living your whole.
No.
The wholeness, no, you're not.
No.
You're not living in that space. And
but that's why we go into the hustle culture. We go into because when you are not checking your inner state of being, you attach yourself to whatever shows up. So when you're gonna attract, and you're gonna what's gonna resonate is your biases. Your inner bias is what's gonna attract, and you're not gonna fix those biases and those dogma patterns, because so basically you are your walking algorithm. So whatever is showing up and it's running on your inner narrative and the algorithm. So you got to reprogram that algorithm. It's super, super essential as we get older to create that space on a daily, because we have so much responsibility that we hold in our home and our professional lives. And because you carry such a heavy table all the time, It's okay to put down that table and take some time for yourself and say, okay, what can I do to change here? How am I showing up? And sometimes you're doing great, and sometimes you're with the wrong environment and the wrong people.
Oh my, you said it. Sometimes you're just in the wrong
You're doing
environment.
excellent. There's other people that you need to detach from. So it could be one or the other, but sometimes you got to
Right.
know, you got to read your environment. But if you don't take a moment to pause and have those sacred moments that we're asking our audience to develop, that's a routine that must be part of your routine, whether it's 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The longer you could do this, though, I would always agree to do a power hour. But the longer you could spend this time to do it, you know, it's very important. And also, we're sensory creatures. So what you want to do is make sure that whether it's like for me, it's a bath, like a warm bath and water. And so whatever needs to be done in our senses, maybe it's a workout for a male or a workout for a female, whatever needs to be done to start to work out. First, you need your mind straight. So you can't get your mind straight if you're not decluttering the mind and you're not stressing the mind. So you want to de-stress the mind first by whether it's gym, whether it's prayer, whether it's gratitude, whatever you want to do. And then you sit down and do the journaling I was talking about, because it's super, super important. You won't be able to continue in life as you do, because how our fathers and mothers did it was not it.
True.
Was not it. It was not it. That's why we are where we are now. And that's why society is where it is now. And so a lot of people are awakening. They're awakening slowly to understand that the old way and the old paradigms and the old dialogues and the old dogma thinking is not working. If it's not working, how do we do the new stuff?
Right.
So,
and that is what you beautifully outlined. That's how we do the new stuff. We start from now. It's never too late.
You start from ground zero. And it's okay to start from ground zero, because next 5 years, you're going to be way proud that you did it then than you do now. Your future self will always thank you.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
True.
Never
too late.
There's things that I will personally say to your audience that, like, I personally even teach my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. I teach her things, and she's in her 90s. So it's or if you work in the healthcare field, there's so many people you come in contact with, and if you work in different fields where you can talk to people, you will come across some beautiful wisdom that you can share with others, and that's your place to share. That's your place to share, and that's your place to be an empowered feminine when you do that work and that ritualistic work and those new habits at home. So then when you're going on in your career, that's what you're imprinting in others. You are able to share a nugget that will make their day, and that will completely just reprogram their thinking. Like, I never thought of it that way. I have my grandmother in her 90s telling me, wow, like if I would have known this, I would have done things a little differently. And so that's what we're hoping to do that for the young girls out there and the new generation.
Totally resonate with you with that, and Karen as well, Lady K as well, because as we help to care for seniors, and exactly what you're saying, because then they say, wow, but because that programming back then was totally different from now, and it's beautiful that we can share with them these even tools now, and you can see the joy in them as well when we can share that with them, and as they transition or get ready to move forward into their later worlds or transition from here, we are giving them a gift that they can take with them from this moment forward to beyond.
We're the product of our environment and the people we spend the most time with. If your environment and the people that are around you are making you sick, and you do that self-check, then you'll know that you're living in an infected environment, or you're choosing that. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Always a choice. Don't ever feel that nothing outside yourself is not a choice. It's a
Right.
choice. And everything that you do is a choice. And so you are only powerful than your next move. And you're never too late to start now at ground zero. It looks overwhelming. It's just like, whoa, why do I have to do this right now? This is too much. But I do this, and my grandmother sometimes is like awe of me sometimes, because she's like, if I had these kind of tools and if I had this level of awareness, I wouldn't have made certain decisions and choices I've made up until now. And so this is why choice and empowered choice, aligned with the divine and your intuitiveness and your creativity as a female, is so important. It's so important because you're changing your generational programming. That's what it's all about.
It is. And it's a beautiful thing to witness.
It is.
It's a beautiful thing to witness. Lady K and I do witness that with the seniors. It is really something. And I think we are very fortunate, as yourself and other who are caregivers who work in the health field, and to see and witness once you can bring that into a space, it's a real beautiful gift.
That's why I want to do this holistic coaching that I do. And anybody that resonates with me, please book a session with Miss Lady K, Lady J. I'm also here as a guided resource. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about these topics because I think this is actually going to usher a new humanity that's emerging, a new awakened humanity. And the more self-aware we are, it's not to beat ourselves up.
True.
It's about just making better choices and empowered choices from a place of peace, and not disintegration, but reintegration.
Reintegration.
And the synthesis of knowledge. Look, one thing I want to say, both of the ladies have mentioned it, is you want to, as a young female growing up, and this is I would tell this to my 10-year-old and 15-year-old self. That little girl, I would tell this to her. And here's what I would tell her. Join empowered female spaces. That could be in college. That can be in your career. You may have a group of women. You may have that could be outside of that completely. That could be, you might look at something on Instagram and you may pass it by because your algorithm or whatever. Look at spaces that it doesn't have to be, let me say it like this. If you join something like a hiking group and there's females in it, join females. If there's a group where you want to learn painting or a hobby and there's other females there, that's fine. Whatever it looks like for you. Some people like cycling and whatever that may be. Some people like to join holistic spaces and holistic retreats. Do that for yourself. Start investing in you. And this is what it looks like to be self-loved, filling that container of removing the self-abandonment, because you want to step in. If I can tell my 15-year-old girl self and say, you know what, start joining people with other females and other people around you to start understanding different perspectives in life and exposure. Because if you continue to run in the same narratives and you don't join groups, you're going to also you're going to make some improvement and then you can relapse because you don't have accountability people that are nice enough to be able to check you. Now, check you doesn't have to be harmful. It could be in a sense like, girl, you slipping up a little bit, and it's okay. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. I think we just need to show a lot more compassion.
Right.
And so I would say if I had a group that if I met you guys at 15, oh my God, I would be overjoyed. But the point is, I'm just saying, I'm sharing this with you. I don't think that males also do this enough. I will say this again with males. Males repress a lot because they think they have to show up a certain way in strength and honor and dignity and so forth. And you have to woo the female and the blah, 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 blah. No. What you want to do is join a male-focused group that talks about what you're going through. And when
Right.
you are more empowered as a masculine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you explore your feminine side as a masculine, which is your emotions, and you do that in a space with men, then when you come home, you get to share that new way of being with your
Right.
female.
Right. That's so
And then
beautiful.
that just amplifies her even more. They're like, where have you been? but but these spaces are so important to be
Yes.
to
Mm-hmm.
start to plug into.
Yes. Yes.
Unplug the noise and unplug the spaces.
Whew, this was so good. This was such a beautiful conversation, just empowering women, and letting women know that they have a voice. We all have a voice. And this conversation really, we touched on the masculine side and we touched on the feminine side. We touched on the narratives that we're running on. We touched on forgiveness. We touched also on uh, removing the static that is happening in our head. We also touched on self-love, self-compassion. We also touched on choice, self-motivation. There's so many things that we touched on this evening.
It's
And
good.
if you joined us late, we highly suggest that you rewatch this replay, because there's so much takeaways from this podcast this evening that can really help you as an individual. If you're sitting there as a woman and you're wondering, oh, which direction should I go? How can I empower myself? But this is a conversation you really got to listen to, because there are a lot of pointers that we give you this evening to help you, to give you like a roadmap. But it all depends on you, because it's your choice, and you really have to empower yourself as an individual. You got to put in the inspired action.
That's right.
It required action. It can't happen no other way. You got to put in the action work. And once you put in the action work, and I'm really glad Privity touched on something just now. Surround yourself with groups and the right kind of people who is going to support you, who is going to rally around you. And there's when you find that you're great today. How can you help me through this?
Mm-hmm.
And not just anybody, somebody who could lift you up
Right.
in those moments
Right.
that you could rely on, and somebody who is honest enough to pinpoint the areas in your life that you need to work on. And you have to be honest with yourself as well, because many times we're not honest with ourselves. When somebody's trying to tell us, you know what, you really need to focus in this area in your life, and then you're saying, no, I don't think so. Sometimes we got to learn to listen. We got to learn to listen and be receptive and analyze things. As things is being said to us, we now have to analyze things and see, you know what? I think I really need to zoom in on this area in my life. I need to touch on reparenting myself, my inner child. So there's so many things. Every day we are working on ourselves, every single day. Every day we are putting in the work, because you know what? We are evolving. Every day we are at some point of transitioning into something else. We are starting a new chapter. So there's so many things in our lives that we have to work on, and it's only we can do it. Nobody else can do it for us. And in order to do it, we got to go internal. We got to go internal. The external is when you're looking for that accountability. When you're looking for that accountability is the external. Or if you're looking to grab yourself a coach that could help you and walk you through all these different facets of your life, you grab yourself a coach that can help you through these different areas of your life. But this was such a great podcast, Privity and Suhini. Thank you so much for coming into this space and just uplifting women and empowering women, and let them know that they have a voice. That they have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
As many times we are just sitting there and we're saying to ourselves, you know what? I'm going to just give up on this. No, there's no room to give up.
No.
We are here to let you know there is no room to give up. We are here to support you as a woman. We are here to support you as a woman. Reach out to us.
Yes.
It's not the time to give up. Reach out to us.
Mhm.
Just reach out. All of our information is in the footnotes below. Just reach out. It could be an email. It could be a text. Just reach out. You're not alone. You are not alone. And we got to start lifting each other up than to tear each other down. We got to lift each other up. We got to take each other through doors and not just take them and leave them at that door. We got to take them through the door.
And support.
We got to take some women, we got to hold their hands and take them through that door.
It's true.
Be supportive of them, hold them and take them through that door. Because some of them, they reach to the door, they don't even know how to go through the door. So we gotta hold them and we gotta take them through the door. Give them some different steps and things that they can do to go through that door. We gotta support each other. That's all that we can do.
I love you said hand holding. That hand holding, sometimes people are so fractured that they don't even know how to ask for help anymore because they're all another. So we're here to handhold you as a coach. We're here to be a safe space.
Yes.
We're here to help you create a safe container that you can help yourself.
Yes.
And let's remove that. Give yourself compassion, and let's not stay in the place of unforgivingness of others and unforgivingness of yourself.
Of yourself.
Those are chains and shackles you need to drop immediately.
Yes. Absolutely.
You said it. You said it. That is
you said it all. You said it all. And so to our friends on LinkedIn, we want to thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on LinkedIn because we value your time. And to our friends on Facebook and YouTube, we want to thank you so much for always showing up and supporting us. And if you know a friend who can benefit from this podcast this evening, we highly suggest that you share us out. If this is the first time that you're joining us, just subscribe because you will always have these impactful, empowering, transformational episodes that can help you as an individual to move through life, but moving through life with something because we always give you tools. We are here to give you the tools, but you got to work the tools. You got to work it, baby.
Yep.
That's
you got to work the tools.
You have to implement.
We can hand you the tools, but you got to put the tools and work the tools.
Right.
That is the only way that you're going to see progress and transformation. You got to work it. You got to put in the action and work the tools. So we just want to thank each and every one of you for always coming into this space, taking the time, sitting with us, and we hope that you walk away with something. If there is one woman in your life who have done something recently for you and make an impact and a change in your life, send that person a text or call them. Or write them an email and thank them, show them gratitude that they have done something for you. Let them know. When people do things for us, we need to let them know how grateful we are to have them in our lives. We need to let them know. Not just push it aside. Send that text, send that email, send that message, do a voice note. There's so many ways we can do things now.
We have so many ways. Right.
So many ways that we can do things now. So just do it. Just do it. Just do it. And let's stop tearing down women. Let's stop doing that.
That needs to stop.
We need to support each other and stop tearing each other down. We gotta stop it.
And a male won't respect you when he sees that you're like that.
Right.
And you're not so that's why it's so important to check yourself.
Absolutely.
And
anytime you start tearing down somebody, something is definitely not happening. If it's in here, there's structure, something is wrong.
Look yourself in the mirror, right, and remind yourself
something is wrong.
Yeah. And if no one have not told you today, we just want to say that we are proud of you. And we are grateful that you are making that, going to make that choice,
That's right.
to move forward, stand strong, know your values, and know that you are worthy and that you are unique as a woman. And from this moment forward, and the entire month of Women's Month, you're going to take those daily steps. And at the conclusion, you will see how much amazing things will be happening in your life as you move forward and stay grounded with gratitude and taking care of yourself so that you don't have to carry all the weight on your shoulders, and you can able to continue to create that level of impact in the world, and that is lasting as well.
Absolutely.
And we're here
Mhm.
as an online wellness
Yeah.
resource for you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
In the comfort of your homes, we're here as an
Mhm.
online resource and an inner guidance and a goodness of well that you guys can dip into and seek guidance from and how to move forward. And so please don't be shy and don't be scared to kind of reach out,
True.
and it's okay. We're all holding each other's hands. I love the way that
Yes.
Miss Lady K has
Mhm.
mentioned that. It's okay wherever we are. We're starting from,
Yes.
some people are starting from ground zero, some people are starting from number 10, but it doesn't
Okay.
matter. So it doesn't matter. It's a matter of we can hold each other's hand instead of biting. That's all.
You said
Yes.
it.
So I just want to leave the audience with
We love you
something before we
perfectly.
go.
We love
Yeah,
you.
we
I
do.
love you
Yeah,
guys.
and Sohini, yeah.
Mhm.
As we stand at this crossroads, remember that your voice is not solo performance. It is the lead note in a symphony that spans generations. Every time you speak a difficult truth, every time you negotiate for your worth, and every time you refuse to shrink to fit a room, you are drafting a manual for the girls who are watching you.
Hmm.
You are telling them that their thoughts have weight, their dreams have gravity, and their voices matter. We
I can.
help the next generation not just by opening doors, but by making sure those doors never dare to close again. We do it by being the mentors we wish we had
Mm-hmm.
and the pioneers we were told didn't exist. So leave this space today and know that you and your voice will echo and shatter the silence of others. Finds her voice, she doesn't just change her own story, she rewrites the destiny of every woman who follows. The
Beautiful.
future is
Yeah.
not waiting for us to be ready. The future is waiting for us to speak. We're going to leave
Powerful.
that with you.
Wow, that was so good.
Yeah.
That was really good. I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
We
love
love
you
you.
guys. Thank you so much.
Love
We
you
love you
so much.
more. We
Brittany.
love you more.
Beautiful
We
light
love you.
of everything.
Thank
I
Thank you
think
you.
that
so much. Thank
if
you
we
so much.
continue to do this, it's just gonna make such an impact to everyone.
It will. It will. It will.
You'll
The
reach
beautiful
those who need it the most.
we're joining hands.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We're
Yes,
linking.
we're
Yeah.
joining hands. We're joining
Both
hands.
Joan
Yes.
and Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're joining hands. Yeah.
That's healthy,
And
of course.
it's showing
Thanks,
up
Sister
to help
Henny, too.
humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Living your
Yes.
life
So
of
Henny, we
service.
love you. We know you had to
Love you,
go. We
Sister
love
Henny.
you too. Tommy,
Yes.
we love you behind the scenes.
Yes,
That's
Tommy.
right. Hope all is well, Tom.
Yeah.
Yes. And to all the women out there, just know you got a voice.
Yes.
You
You
do.
got a voice. Reach out. We love you. Reach out.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Exactly. Bye.